I started Meltdown Comics back in 1993. Started with a couple of long boxes in my Japanese toy collection, and now we're here at a massive store that is more of a rec center than a retail environment.
It's the nerd vortex of the world, man.
Everybody knows your name.
It's like the Cheers of comic books.
Isn't that really awesome?
This is the final destination.
I view Meltdown Comics as more of a community.
When people come to Meltdown, they want to get the Meltdown experience.
Connect with other people who are enjoying it as well.
We've always been more of an event space. Nerdist is a geek empire. The face of it is Chris Hardwick. He hosts the Comedy Central show at midnight. A lot of the Nerdist podcasts are recorded here. The Nerdist Improv Theater is next door. This is like where the after party is for Nerdist.
If you want to go live with your fans, you come to Meltdown.
There's such an awesome layer cake of geekdom.
The staff is a band of gypsies.
I can't say we assembled a dream team, but we're pretty close to a dream team as we can get.
I spent my childhood reading comics and being obsessed with comics, and it wasn't until my mother went on vacation and came back and gave me the Dark Phoenix saga. That was my first trade paperback, and that's sort of where I backwardsly fell into the Marvel world. This is the best job I've ever had. It's the most fun.
I don't know about Josh. He's a tryhard. Who wears a suit in a comic book store? Like, we wear t-shirts.
I like dressing up. It's good to be classy.
Josh is much more of a people person than I am.
Holly and I are very conflicting.
I am very opinionated. I'm the book buying manager. I buy all the books. I've always been a book nerd. I've always been, just that little kid in the corner with her nose at a book. That was totally me. I'm a word nerd, word slut, as I call myself. I love comic books. I read comic books. I'm practically obsessed with comic books. And that has nothing to do with whether or not I have female parts.
She's like the mom of Meltdown. She'll probably kill me for saying that.
I do a lot of the live video productions.
Justin's an enigma.
I haven't read a comic book. I come at everything in geekdom with fresh eyes of the average person. The average Joe doesn't know who Guardians of the Galaxy was. I didn't even know anything until the movie came out. I host a One Ring podcast, and I haven't even read The Hobbit.
TheOneRing.net is a Lord of the Rings sort of podcasts aficionado, lover, mashed together craziness.
Gaston is me in 20 years. Always experimenting with stuff, hoping things will stick, and then when something sticks, it sticks big.
So Guillermo del Toro and I, 25 years ago, we sit around talking about what we would do. I wanted to open like the biggest motherfuck you comic book store ever, and he wanted to be like an Oscar winner director based on horrible things. And we've achieved both of our goals. At the end of the day, I'm an optimist to the highest degree. I'm gonna open up a store. It's gonna be the greatest comic book store ever, and everybody's gonna come in. No business plan. It was just my comics, a storefront, and high hopes. And people started coming in.
Gaston is kind of like a cool uncle. I'm the youngest person working here. I'm 17 years old, and I'm an intern. Got into manga probably when I was 5 years old. I want to be a neuroscientist when I grow up. I like to collect their DNA.
Kimmy's a weird one.
I like to take pieces of their hair because you never know when an apocalypse will come. I am banned from coffee and any kind of energy drink at this store.
Do not give her caffeine, I promise you. She's like a gremlin, just don't do it.
Derek. Definitely Big Brother.
I am the newest addition to the Meltdown family. I started coming to the front counter and I was just talking to Josh. We started talking about DC comics, and then Josh kind of put two and two together. It's like, oh, well, we don't really have like a DC person. I started interning and I started helping with books, and basically they came to the realization I'm not crazy. I think that's like literally all you need to be here, is just not crazy. I don't even know if I can remember my getting into comics, because I think like most children of the 90s that were a fan of the Batman animated series, I had a Batman themed birthday. And it wasn't until recently that I realized I had about 3 Batman themed birthday parties.
Josh likes to tease Derek?
I think Derek and I throw bombs at each other pretty well.
Most of the times when Josh and I don't see an eye to eye, it's on the Marvel Cinematic Universe versus the DC Cinematic Universe.
He has this bizarre reverence for DC films that I think is silly.
People turn to DC and they're like, well, that's gonna fail. That's gonna fail. It's like, Batfleck, that sucks. Jesse Eisenberg, ugh.
Is there a winner? Is there a loser? And yes, there is.
DC, I feel like feature to feature, they try and think of it as something different, and they're only just now getting into the shared continuity.
I think Superman is a boring and terrible character. I mean, he's got every power. He's indestructible. He's a boring god. At least Zeus slept around and was shameless and dirty.
Francisco doesn't drive and he lives in LA. That tells you everything about that guy.
I've been here a little over 10 years, general manager here. So everything that happens kind of starts off from either Gaston or myself, and then we just spread it out. Gaston is my brother. This was his brainchild. In '93, he opened up. If you crack Gaston's head open, this is what spews out. I love to sell shit. Any way that I can sell it, I love to sell it. Any gimmick, any craziness that I can do, events, big events, 20 people signing, 30 people signing, whatever craziness I can do to just sell shit, that's me.
Meltdown Comics, being in Hollywood, definitely has the largest spectrum of people who come in.
Every geek thinks they're the world's leading expert on something.
Like literally everybody you could think of has walked through the door.
Everyone comes through here.
Michael Jackson, he would come in here.
We had one of the Jonas Brothers buy a replica Yoda statue.
Rodriguez has been coming in since El Mariachi. I've seen Seth Rogen reading Superman comics over there.
Jack Black is a regular customer.
I'm sorry, I look like Jack Black. That's just sad.
Jack Black, he used to, before he was working all the time, he would just play pinball with Tarantino, who used to live around the corner.
There's always this stereotype about comic stores. The guy from The Simpsons, it's all very inclusive. It's not really.
I have been lucky enough to have had most of the Simpson writers been customers for 20 years. So we're gonna do an episode of The Simpsons and put in Tintin, Gaston, Meltdown Comics, and he's gonna put the comic book store guy out of business. Sure enough, it's the Meltdown building inside The Simpsons. Just weird to see me as a cartoon.
I mean, a lot of these people are people I would hang out with even if I didn't work with them.
They make me laugh, all of them.
We enjoy the life that comics bring to us.